Hey, it's DBJ. We're going to do another series on house rules, and this is going to be real short. I know a lot of games have come up with this Carnival of Carnage, Symphony of Slaughter, Dance of Death kind of thing, where 2, 3, 4 PCs can fight off 50, 60, 70 unnamed extras, mooks, thugs, one hit point guys, and just take them out one by one. There's something that I used to use. This was for Dungeons and Dragons, or 3rd edition maybe. I started using it. Well, kind of between 2nd and 3rd, and we did it under hit dice. Now you have CR or levels, basically like in creature ratings of how they are. And you can decide, like, whatever character levels they are, creature ratings of this or below. So an example would be, use this house rule on creature level, creature ratings 5 or more below your character. So if you're 10th level, you could use this rule on creatures that are 5 hit dice or less. As an example, I'd be careful about using it that way, and there's some maybe 5th level creatures that you might want to leave in there. But here's the idea anyway. You want your characters to mow through a whole bunch of goblins, but you don't want to do all the dice logging. Okay, 2 ways to do it. One is let them roll 5 or more to hit. So give them a number that they need to hit. If they hit 5 or more, that enemy is dispatched completely. Don't worry about dice. It doesn't matter what weapon they use, whether the rogue is using a dagger, the mage is using a staff, the fighter is using a sword, the cleric's using a mace. It doesn't matter. Just like in the movies, everyone doesn't go for the weapon that does the most damage. They use the weapon that they're the best at and that they're comfortable with. So yes, the rogue can dispatch enemies just as fast as the fighter with his large weapon, or dwarf with the axe or something of that nature, or the elf with the bow. Okay, so what you do is, if they need to roll 10 or over, they roll, and all their bonuses, they roll a 15 or more, they're out. Boom. The other way we used to do it is that creature levels that were lower, whatever you rolled on a d20, you got to add that to your damage, no matter what character class you were. So, like I said, if you're the fighter with the sword, and you rolled to hit, whatever you rolled to hit, hey, I rolled a 17, you get to add 17 points of damage. Hey, if you're the thief, you got the dagger, and you're like, hey, I rolled a 15, you get to, and I hit, you get to add 15 points of damage. And this is a real good way to mow through a lot of the big bad, small baddies that are in large groups, big hordes of them. But I also like to add, I know I'm doing this for house rules, but I also like to add that, as mentioned by a number of people in the comments, and I have mentioned it before, that when you do a battle with a large army, you really have to be descriptive. Allow, the idea of blood and sweat and tears and stepping over dead bodies and blood coating your arm and things like that. Allow that to get into the game, because really, if you don't, it just becomes a numbers thing. And I know some people enjoy the numbers game, but to me that just becomes addition and subtraction, and I could just do that on a calculator. I'll probably end up putting this into another video. But anyway, house rule, the one is roll 5 or more. Now I do know that within the Ring of Fire uses this exact same mechanic. There's a game called Feng Shui that did the same thing. If you rolled 5 or more, you're needed to hit, the enemy is out. There are many games, independent published and kickstarted games, that use this mechanic to really basically allow the player characters to shine, especially allowing them to shine within their own element. It doesn't force the characters who use smaller weapons, like the rogues and the clerics and the wizards of the game world, to be forced to have to use a bigger weapon, because cinematically they don't, and in that context they can't. So, but how do they dispatch a whole bunch of enemies? Well, they get to do the extra damage. So, or they rolled over their hits, so they get to take the guy out, knock him out, or kill him, or whatever, whether it's orcs or goblinoids or something like that. So, anyway, that's one way of doing it. Thanks for listening. As always, create, don't destroy.